I welcome you all to the YouTube channel of Pratham Test Prep. My name is Hema Chaudhary and today I welcome you all to the daily newspaper analysis session by Pratham Test Prep. And when we talk about this daily newspaper analysis session, we cover the most important news from the point of view of examinations, and we take these news from all the major newspaper like the Hindu, Indian Express, Economic Times, etc, and then we do the analysis of all the important news which are important from the examination point of view. Now when we talk about these sessions, we do these sessions on 5 days a week, which is from Monday to Friday, as you can see here, right, which is from Monday to Friday at 11:30 a.m. to give you a flavor of all the important pointers related to the important news of that particular day. Now when we talk about this session, what we cover, we can say that when we are doing the daily newspaper analysis session, we took news from different sections of the news, right, and these sections covers the news like national news, then if we talk about, let's say, international news, and basically we cover those international news which are important and directly or indirectly related to India, or it has some kind of impact on India, right, or other major international news which are not even related to India. Then we also focus on the economic and financial news. So yes, we cover one more section, economic and financial news. Then we also talk about the important personalities, you can say, and when we talk about important personalities, we cover the persons which are in news, and this can be in the category of, let's say, appointments, this can be in the category of resignations, this can be in the category of ranking of persons. Here we are talking about, right, this can be related to the news of deaths and all. And after that we also talk about, agar koi important hai to we also talk about some business news. Then we also focus on any important sports news, then science and tech, right, any new advancement, any new experiment, any new discovery or invention, right, or any new discovery of new medicine, or anything, any news which are important from the examination point of view, we cover under this section, right. And after that we also cover the news related to summits and conferences, and these can include your international summits, or you can say national conferences or national meetings as well. Apart from that, we also cover the news related to bills and amendments, or you can say legal news, but we don't focus much on the legal news in this section. Reason being, we already have a series of legal darpan जो हम प्रथम टेस्ट प्रेप यूट्यूब चैनल पे करते हैं on Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 3:30 p.m. So if you want to focus on the legal news, you can watch that series for your help, especially if you're preparing for law entrance examination. Apart from that, we also cover the miscellaneous news, which can include the important days, which can include the India's first, world first, India's largest, longest, highest, and other sections like art and culture, festivals, etc, right. So all these sections we cover in this particular section, and we'll start this session with a beautiful quotation, right, and that is, if your voice is high, only a few people will listen to you, or only a few people will hear you out, right, but if your thoughts are high, then many people will listen to you, right. So that is the difference between the higher voice and higher thoughts. So you should always prefer to have higher thoughts, right. Okay, now another beautiful quotation here which is very important for all the students out there is, you need to study hard, right, no matter if it seems impossible, no matter if it is taking a lot of time, no matter if you have to up all night, just remember that the feeling of success is the best feeling, or you can say it is the most beautiful thing in the entire world. So to achieve success, you need to do what? You need to study hard. And yes, in today's world, we can say that study hard ke saath saath you need to study smart as well. right? So when we talk about this newspaper analysis session, after doing the newspaper analysis, right, we will be doing some questions of the day. So today what we'll do is, today we will discuss the news, and in tomorrow's session we will discuss few questions related to today's news and tomorrow's news as well. So let's just quickly start with the first news of today, which is on earthquake. And when we talk about earthquake, we all know that earthquakes are happening all around the world, right? And when we talk about this information about the rupturing processes in the earth's crust, all the more we can say that it is happening frequently around the world. For example, if we talk about the recent Turkey Syria earthquake has shook the world, right? And it was one of the most deadly in the decade, with the death around or over 41,000, right? So today we will focus on the news related to the earthquake that hit Turkey on Monday, right? So magnitude 5.6 earthquake hits Turkey, and more building collapses are there. And when we talk about the official statement, it said that a magnitude of 5.6 earthquake shook the southern Turkey, which caused damages to the buildings and people as well. And if you can see the picture here, right, this is the view of the destroyed neighborhood in Turkey, which followed the 7.8 magnitude earthquake, right, that hit the country early hours on 6th February 2023, and then followed by another 7.5 magnitude tremor just after the midday, and now on Monday 5.6 magnitude earthquake that hit Turkey, right? So we can say that back to back Turkey is facing earthquake, and it is causing a lot of harm, right? And when we talk about this earthquake of magnitude 5.6 which shook southern Turkey, and this is after 3 weeks of the catastrophic tremor which devastated the same region, right? And it caused some buildings to collapse. There were no immediate reports of any casualty, but yes, later on there was some news of that also. And the Monday's earthquake, it was centered in the town of AILET in the now when we talk about this, why I'm highlighting or circling the name of the provinces and the town, because the question can come on this, right? So the name of the town is AILET and the name of the province is Malatya. So you need to remember the names. And when we talk about the mayor of AILET, the name of the person is Mehmet Shinar, and Mehmet Shinar has told the Haberturk television that few buildings had collapsed in the town. But when we talk about Malatya, it is among the 11 Turkish provinces that was hit hard by the magnitude 7.8 earthquake that devastated the parts of the southern Turkey and also the northern Syria on 6th February. So back to back there were 3 to 4 series of the earthquake, and this earthquake led to more than 48,000 deaths in both the countries. अगर हम सिर्फ टर्की की बात करें, the death is over 41,000, right? And when we talk about both the countries, there were buildings collapses, and yes, there were news of serious damage of more than 1,73,000 buildings in Turkey. Right now, when we talk about this, you need to remember on other facts also that now the time is to have the information about these rupturing processes in the earth crust all more the time, right? So when we talk about these deadly vibrations, right, on the surface layer of the planet, these can be considered as the most dangerous, which can cause sudden displacement along the fractures of the earth crust, right? So now अब यहाँ पे when we are talking about the news related to earthquake, you need to remember that you should also focus on the static information related to earthquake, right? Because the questions can come on this also, because this is directly related to the news, right? So question can be come on the facts like this, that which equipment is used to record and measure the earthquake. So when we talk about the instrument which is used for it is seismometer. So you need to remember this fact that seismometer is the instrument which is used to mostly measure the you can say to record and measure the magnitude, or that are being installed on the earth surface, and with the help of that they can measure the earthquake. Now second type of question can come, and I'm talking about the static part, that where do earthquake occur most frequently. So किस तरह के एरियाज पे, किस तरह के एरियाज या रीजन के आसपास सबसे ज़्यादा earthquake आने के chances हैं. तो it is, we can say that the strongest earthquake usually occur along the plate boundaries, right? The surface plate boundaries के आसपास का जो areas है, they suffer more. And when we talk about severely affected regions, that include the west coast of North and South America, it includes Indonesia, it includes Japan, it includes Central Asia, parts of, you can say, China, Turkey, Europe, and Italy, Greek, Iceland in particular, if we talk about Europe, right? So the earthquake are very strong in these particular areas, right? Now when we talk about the possibility of predicting the earthquake, that is it possible to predict earthquake? So answer is no. We cannot, we cannot predict the exact date, we cannot predict the exact place, we cannot predict the exact magnitude of an earthquake. But yes, the only alternative is that the seismologist, right, they developed seismic hazard maps in which the probability of the occurrence of strong ground tremors are there. So yes, the date, time and place, exact date, time and place cannot be decided, that cannot be predictable, but yes, some kind of information can be predictable with the use of, you can say, seismometer, right? So when we talk about the point on the ground vertically above the focus called, so जहाँ से earthquake होता है, right, that particular जिसको हम बोलते हैं the point on the ground above the focus point, that is known as epicenter, right? So इस तरह के जो pointers हैं, there can be questions on this. And when we talk about epicenter, it can be discovered on the earth's surface right above the earthquake's hypocenter. So this is above the surface, and if we talk about the below surface center, that is hypocenter. So you need to know the difference between epicenter above the surface and hypocenter earthquakes below the surface center, right? And when we talk about earth's crust, it is where the fractures of the plates begin and that spread out along the surface area. So यहाँ पे you can understand that I am talking about earth crust again and again here because that plays an important role here. So यहाँ पे additional topic which is important from the examination point of view is Earth's internal structure, which includes a 3-layer Earth's crust, then mantle, which has the maximum volume of Earth, and then we have Earth's core. So you need to know the pointers related to Earth crust, pointers related to mantle and core. So these are the important points. Now, when we talk about earthquake, there are waves called primary waves. So there can be a question that primary waves of the earthquakes, they are called as what? So there is another term for primary waves, and these primary waves are known as push waves, right? So if we talk about the pulse of energy, right, the pulse of energy is called the P wave, or you can say primary or pressure wave, that travels quickly through the earth and through the liquid, which forces the surface to move when it is compressed or when it is expanded, right? So P waves, you can say primary waves, you can call it pressure waves, or you can call it push waves. We are talking about the same waves if we are calling it P waves, pressure waves, primary waves, or push waves, right? Now when we talk about the ground motion of the primary waves, which is measured with a special kind of seismograph, right? तो उसको क्या नाम दिया गया है? So अगर हम बात करते हैं seismograph पे, या अगर हम बात करते हैं that particular scale की जिसपे कि इसको नापा जाता है, so that is known as Richter scale, right? RICHTER, Richter scale. So it is on the name of Francis Richter, right? This name has been given on the name of Francis Richer, right, who was in 1935 designed a magnitude scale, and he was an American seismologist, right? And also when we talk about the Francis Richer, he also held by another American seismologist by the name Charles, who made it for, particularly for California. It ranks the ground motion of the primary waves measured with the special seismograph on the logarithm scale, and that is why it is known as Richter scale, right? Now, अगर हम बात करें the strongest earthquake recorded so far on earth. So if we talk about strongest earthquake, so you need to know the name. So it was Shanxi, SHAANXI, Shanxi earthquake, right? So ये नाम आपको याद रखना है. It was in 1556. It was in 1556. कहाँ पे? Shanxi नाम से आप समझ सकते हो that it is a Chinese or Mandarin name, right? In China, it is considered as the most strongest and the devastating earthquake in human history, with the death toll of approximately more than 8,30,000, an estimate of magnitude of more than 8.1. right? So these are the important pointers, right, जिसकी हम बात कर सकते हैं. And when we talk about static information, there can be more and more information जिसे हम बोलते हैं 360-degree knowledge of the topic. So there can be question like in what place do most earthquake occur. So अभी हमने बात की strongest की, और अब बात करें कि सबसे ज़्यादा कहाँ आते हैं. So if we talk about the most earthquake, the place where the most earthquake occur, it is the place called the Pacific Ocean. सबसे ज़्यादा यहाँ आते हैं. Over 80% of all the large earthquakes occur around the edges of the Pacific Ocean, the region which is known as Ring of Fire. Right, we also call that place the region, right, an area known the area on the edge of the Pacific Ocean known as Ring of the Fire. It is most seismically and volcanically active zone on the world, and that is why it is known as Ring of Fire. Right, so all these points are important from the examination point of view. Now let's quickly talk about the another important news, and that is adding Adani. You can see here, I am highlighting it here also. Adding Adani firms in 14 NSE National Stock Exchange indices raises a kind of worry in the market, right? So अगर हम बात करते हैं इसकी, right, you need to remember that what kind of news is this and which pointers are important for us from the examination point of view. So we need to focus here, right, that if we talk about important pointers here, right, you need to focus that यहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे हैं about 16% of mutual funds money which is being parked in the index linked funds, right? And the biannual review of National Stock Exchange, it indices was based on the data gathered till 31st January. But Adani stock have been in meltdown after the cut off. And when we talk about the adding of Adani firms in 14 NSE indices, how it can raise, we can say how it can raise the worry. So you need to know that when we talk about this, you need to first understand the steep fall. The table shows the percentage change in the prices in the past month and the ownership pattern of Adani Group stocks, right? So when we talk about this concern over the Adani companies being listed on the NSE indices, right, the 5, पहले मैं 5 की बात करूँगी which are important, the 5 Adani Group companies. If we talk about these 5 companies, right, जो कौन सी हैं, Total Gas, Adani Total Gas, you can see the name here. Second is Adani Enterprise, third is Adani Wilmar, and fourth is Adani Power, and fifth is ACC. These were recently added to the, right, why these are in news, these were recently added to 14 Nifty indices, right, these were added to 14 Nifty indices. Now if we talk about the stocks of these companies, there was a fall of -80.73%, एंटरप्राइज का -61.71, -33.59, -46, -25. You can see there is a fall on all the companies which are added to 14 Nifty indices, right? Promoters की अगर हम ownership pattern की बात करें तो आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं, right? This is the percentage of promoter. This is mutual fund plus public plus others, right? So you can see the percentage here, that why it is a, why when we talk about this, why it is a problematic thing, right? So यहाँ पे you need to focus on important pointers, right? किस तरह के pointers? So for example, when we talk about NSE indices, right, we can say that financial experts जो हैं, they have sought an urgent intervention by the National Stock Exchange. If we are talking about NSE, National Stock Exchange, right? So financial experts have sought an urgent intervention by the National Stock Exchange Board and the market regulator SEBI, right? So if we talk about these two, right, इनको क्यों कहा है financial expert ने, क्यों? Okay, so we were talking about the financial experts' view on the adding of 5 Adani Group firms into the 14 Nifty indices, right? And there are to, NSE and SEBI to, review the addition of these 5 firms into the 14 Nifty indices. So financial experts have sought, as I said, urgent intervention by the NSE and SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, to review this decision, right? Because it can drive savings of lakhs of investors into the group sinking stocks from 31st March. And on 17th February, NSE indices said that its equity index maintenance subcommittee has decided to replace stocks in various indices from the date of 31st March as a part of periodic review. Now, if we talk about the Congress question on the addition of these 5 Adani stocks to the NSE indices, so we can say that यहाँ पे obviously political view भी आएगा ही. So when we talk about the Congress, right, on 27th February, right, as a part of its ongoing हम अदानी के हैं कौन series of question, they asked why the stocks of 5 more Adani Group companies has been added to the National Stock Exchange index despite their crash in the stock market. A valid question, right? Even as the leading market index providers MSCI and S&P Dow and Jones, right, they review the weighting of the Adani Group firms, and the NSE has failed to take any serious action to protect investors, right, as per the Congress communication chief Jairam Ramesh. So I'm just quoting an statement by the Congress communication chief Jairam Ramesh here, right? And when we talk about among the stocks being included in its indices, they are Adani's added to Nifty Next 50 and Nifty 100, Adani Total Gas, Nifty Sharia 25, and Adani Power 10 different indices, right? When we talk about National Stock Exchange indices, move has raised concern and continuing meltdown in the Adani Group stocks since 24th January, when US-based Hindenburg Research made several allegations that Gautam Adani-led group has denied. When we talk about MSCI, which is global index provider, it is reviewing the inclusion of some Adani Group stocks and has already reduced their free float weightages, right? And when we talk about Adani's most popular market benchmark, so this question can be asked directly as a static question in the exam, that which is the NSE's most popular market benchmark. So it is the Nifty 50. It has already includes Adani Ports, says, and Adani Enterprise. And following this review, the number of Adani Group stocks in Nifty Next 50 and Nifty 100 will rise to 6 and 8 respectively, right? Now when we talk about particularly about, let's say, National Stock Exchange, right? So if we talk about this National Stock Exchange, we need to remember few pointers for this, right? When we talk about NSE, when we talk about, let's say, SEBI, what all things that we need to know here. So you need to remember that when we talk about stock exchange, it is a place where traders buy and sell the securities, right? A stock exchange is often the most, you can say, the important component of a stock market. The auctions of the securities is done systematically by bidding by certain rules and regulations, and the securities to be traded in the stock exchange has to be listed there first, and then they can be traded. And when we talk about the major stock exchanges in India, so one of the major stock exchange in India is National Stock Exchange, which was founded in the year 1992. It was recognized as a stock exchange by SEBI, right? So SEBI, you should know about SEBI, right? Under the Securities Contracts Regulation Act in the year 1956, and the operation commenced in 1994. So 1956 में it was, you can say, recognized by SEBI, but it was organized, or you can say it was founded in the year 1992, and its operation started in 1994. And when we talk about the first stock, when we talk about NSE, we can say that it is the first stock exchange in India to provide fully computerized electronic trading, right? So ये first स्टॉक एक्सचेंज है जो फुली कंप्यूटराइज्ड इलेक्ट्रॉनिक ट्रेडिंग प्रोवाइड करता है, right? And also NSE is one of the pioneers in technology and innovation which ensured the high end performance of its system, right? इसके अलावा अगर हम बात करें दूसरे मेजर stock exchange in India की, that is BSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, which was founded on 9 July 1875. It was India's first stock exchange, India's oldest stock exchange, and not just India, but this is Asia's oldest stock exchange, right? Which was founded in the year 1875, right? And when we talk about 1875, the eminent businessman Premchand Roy Chand, they officially founded the Native Share and Stockbrokers Association, which was later renamed as BSE. So these two were the important, or you can say the major stock exchange. Then there are some regional stock exchange also, right? And then there are some famous indices, right? For example, first is Sensex, which is based on 30 companies, right? Then we have BSE 100, then we have BSE 200, Dolex, Bankex, Reality Index, etc. So these are the important indices of BSE, right? Now when we talk about the other terms like bear market, bull market, you need to remember the difference between these things, right? So आपको ये सारी चीज़ें पता होनी चाहिए. एंड अगर बिगेस्ट स्टॉक एक्सचेंज की बात आए, सो इंडिया का ओल्डेस्ट तो है BSE, बट व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द बिगेस्ट स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, तो बिगेस्ट स्टॉक एक्सचेंज इज नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज, राइट? सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दीज, तो आपको ये पॉइंटर्स पता होने चाहिए, राइट? एंड यू नीड टू रिमेंबर द पॉइंटर्स रिलेटेड टू SEBI also. Now when we talk about SEBI, why SEBI is important for the examination point of view? Because अगर हम बात कर रहे हैं किसी भी stock market related news की, so it is important that you know about SEBI also. SEBI is Securities and Exchange Board of India, right? Which is an autonomous organization which basically works under the overall administration supervision of the finance ministry. And yes, when we talk about SEBI, it is accountable to parliament, right? So when we talk about SEBI, it is owned by government, right? It is owned by government. It was established in the year 1992, the same year when National Stock Exchange was फाउंडेड, राइट? सो यस, सेबी की अगर हम बात करें, वैसे 1988 को भी कंसिडर किया जाता है एज द फाउंडिंग ईयर ऑफ SEBI, but when we talk about the beginning of the working of SEBI officially, that started in 1990. तो हम तो यही बोलते हैं that SEBI was established in 1992 under the SEBI Act, or you can say Securities and Exchange Board of India Act 1992, basically to prevent or to protect the interest of the stockbrokers and also to regulating the security markets. And the headquarter is in Mumbai. The headquarter of SEBI is in Mumbai, and it has 4 regional offices which are located in Ahmedabad, Chennai and Delhi, and 1 in Kolkata, right? So जैसा मैंने बताया, SEBI was initially formed in 1988 as a non-statutory body, right? But when we talk about the statutory status, it was acquired by SEBI in the year 1992. So when we talk about the headquarter is in Mumbai. And if we talk about the chairman of SEBI, the chairman of SEBI is Madhabi Puri Buch, and she is the first women chairperson of SEBI, right? So these are the important pointers related to this particular news. Now we'll move to the next news, and the next news is Supreme Court extends Congress leader Pawan Khera's interim bail till March 3rd, right? So when we talk about Pawan Khera, he was arrested at Delhi airport last week after being deplaned from a flight to Raipur in connection with his remarks against Prime Minister Narendra Modi. ऐसे डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस आने के चांसेस कम होते हैं इस तरह की न्यूज़ पे, बट देयर कैन बी इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस ऑन दीज न्यूज़. देयर कैन बी इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस ऑन द पावर्स ऑफ Supreme Court on extension of the bail, right? So यहाँ पे Supreme Court की powers पे question आ सकता है that under which article or by which view Supreme Court has the power to extend the bail granted to someone for some days or some months, etc. Right? So अगर हम पवन खेरा की बात करें, one of the Congress leaders, he did some objectionable remarks against the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and in that case he was, when we talk about this, he was being deplaned from a flight to Raipur and he was arrested from Delhi airport, right? So Assam police की बात करें, they had last week arrested Khera after he was deplaned from the Indigo flight to Chhattisgarh's Raipur at Delhi airport, and this arrest was in, as I said earlier, also in the connection to his remarks pertaining to Modi as a press conference on 17th February, right? And this was decided by a 3-judges bench which was headed by the Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, who took note of the submission by the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta. तो यहाँ पे now if we need to focus on the topics which are important, so topics are Supreme Courts and its powers. Another topic is Chief Justice of India, and another topic is Solicitor General of India. Now when we talk about Solicitor General of India and Chief Justice of India, you need to remember the names: D.Y. Chandrachud, CJI, तुषार मेहता, Solicitor General, right? इसके अलावा इनकी अपॉइंटमेंट कौन करता है, टर्म एंड टेन्योर कितना होता है, you need to know about all these things, right? So now when we talk about this additional advocate general, right, one of the additional advocate general, Garima Prasad, appearing for Uttar Pradesh, also said she will also be filing the response in this matter. So when we talk about Pawan Khera's statement, right, so you need to remember this, that these kind of news, right, they cannot be asked in the exams directly, but yes, they can be asked indirectly in the exams. But yes, when we talk about Pawan Khera, he also offers apologize, right, in this matter, right? So इससे ज़्यादा इसमें जानने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, but yes, you need to focus on these particular topics that I told you to do. Now when we talk about another news, right, so AAP holds a nationwide protest and Sisodia produced before court, right? So Manish Sisodia की अगर हम बात करें, इनके चलते बहुत सारे आप सपोर्टर्स जो हैं, दे detained after the clash with the paramilitary forces outside BJP headquarters, and CBI officers have used respects for Sisodia. Political pressure was high, ऐसा कहा है अरविंद केजरीवाल ने, राइट। सो क्या न्यूज़ है इसको समझते हैं। सीबीआई ने दिल्ली डेप्यूटी सीएम मनीष सिसोदिया को प्रोड्यूस किया था, अरेस्ट किया था इन द करप्शन केस रिलेटेड टू एक्साइज पॉलिसी बिफोर अ सिटी कोर्ट। देयर वाज अ हेवी सिक्योरिटी प्रेजेंस इन एंड आउटसाइड द राउज एवेन्यू कोर्ट प्रोमाइसेस, जहां पे मनीष सिसोदिया को लाया गया था, एंड द एजेंसी प्रोड्यूस सिसोदिया बिफोर द special judge named M.K. Nagpal, and he was likely to seek his custodial interrogation, right? And इसी के चलते meanwhile AAP has begun its nationwide protest against the arrest of Sisodia in connection with the Alice Delhi liquor excise policy केस। तो आपको ये पता होना चाहिए किस केस के सिलसिले में ये हुआ, किस स्पेशल जज के सामने सुनवाई हुई, राइट, किस कोर्ट में पेश किया गया एंड किसने पेश किया, राइट। सो बहुत सारे आप सपोर्टर्स जो हैं, दे वर डिटेन आफ्टर द क्लैश विद दी पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस टू प्रोटेस्ट आउटसाइड द बीजेपी हेडक्वार्टर्स एट दी दीन दयाल उपाध्याय मार्ग, राइट। सो यहाँ पे आपको एक इनडायरेक्ट स्टैटिक क्वेश्चन मिल गया, वेयर इज द बीजेपी हेडक्वार्टर्स इन दिल्ली? सो दीन दयाल उपाध्याय मार्ग। द पर्सनल रिसोर्टेड टू लाठी चार्ज टू डिस्पर्स देम, राइट। तो अगर हम इसकी बात करें तो आपको पता होना चाहिए दैट इससे रिलेटेड जो न्यूज़ है वो आपको थोड़ी बहुत ज़रूर पता होनी चाहिए। एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट सीबीआई गेट्स मनीष सिसोदियाज कस्टडी फॉर 5 days अमिट्स दी आप प्रोटेस्ट, उसके होते हुए भी 5 दिन की कस्टडी मिल गई है सीबीआई को, एंड देन दे विल इंटेरोगेट मनीष सिसोदिया अबाउट दिस केस, राइट। चलिए नेक्स्ट देखते हैं। नाउ व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट हरभजन सिंह, right, there is the news that not in terms of skills but mentally this is the most fragile Australian cricket team, right, and one of the stars of India's 2001 comeback series victory against Australia, Harbhajan Singh, the off spinner, always performed well against the arch rivals, but इन्होंने कहा है now when we talk about this, right, so ये बीच में अगर हम बात करते हैं आप, अब क्यों ये न्यूज़ है, क्योंकि अभी हम आप प्रोटेस्टर्स की बात कर रहे थे, एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट आप राज्यसभा मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हरभजन, इनकी अगर हम बात करें, हरभजन सिंह की, डिस्कस द मेंटल फ्रेजिलिटी ऑफ द विजिटिंग ऑस्ट्रेलियन टीम, राइट, एंड ऑल्सो ही टॉक्ड अबाउट कि इंडिया को क्या करना चाहिए टू विन आईसीसी ट्रॉफीज एंड वाई पॉलिटिक्स माइनस रैंकर इज द वे टू go ahead. The session was moderated by Devendra Pandey, who is the senior assistant editor, and जिसमें ये कहा गया that if you compare to other Australian teams which toured earlier, we don't want to go 30-40 years back, even if we go that far. I think this was the statement by Harbhajan Singh that I think this is probably the weakest team, not in terms of skills but mentally they are very fragile, right, and they are not able to handle the pressure the way the earlier Aussies used to do. And it will be fair to say that this is not the Aussie kind of team but we used to see or we play against, right. So Harbhajan Singh ka jo statement tha that he spent 20 odd years in cricket and enjoyed every bit of it. Today whatever he is because of the team. Even the reason why he was given the member of parliament seat is because he is Harbhajan Singh the cricketer, right. So that was just the we can say that the statement given by Harbhajan for the upcoming Australian team. Now if we talk about the last news for today's session, it is Supreme Court says it will decide the legal issues related to the appointment of police chiefs of India and other cities once and for all. So Supreme Court ने decide किया that it will decide once and for all the legal issue of whether the earlier apex court judgment laying down the procedure for the appointment of the DG or DGP, Director General of Police in states, will also be applicable to Delhi and other cities or not, right. The top court hearing petitions challenging the appointments of senior IPS officer Rakesh Asthana as the Delhi Police Commissioner said that they relate to the appointment of Asthana and they have become the infractions as the officer has superannuated, right. So अगर हम बात करें इसकी, सुप्रीम कोर्ट, दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट, not Supreme Court, Delhi High Court verdict का एक part है which had held that the apex court judgment in Prakash Singh case applies to the states DGP only and not to the cities like Delhi and the selection of Commissioner of Police. It needs to be dealt with as it is. It has a recurring effect, and it was headed by the judges bench by the Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud, right? And also by dismissing the petition of NGO Center for Public Interest Litigation, or you can say CPIL, the High Court said that the Apex Court decision in the Prakash Singh case, they mandated a minimum tenure for certain police officer and the constitution of UPSC panel before the selection. So it is not like it directly ही appointment हो जाता है, but when we talk about this procedure, it is not applicable to the appointment of police commissioner for Delhi. And this observation of Delhi High Court is required to be dealt with because this issue has a recurring effect, and we will accordingly list SLP special leave petition in April so that the issue will be resolved. This statement was given by Justice P.S. Narasimha and J.B. Pardiwala. राइट, चलिए इसी के साथ एक और छोटी सी न्यूज़ को कवर कर लेते हैं. दैट फ्रॉम चाइना टू इंडिया, India and US media coverage during COVID-19 reveals the power of controlling the narratives, right? So when we talk about this, this was given by Shamika Ravi, the power of narrative. At the beginning, the average global media coverage was negative, and in the 6 months, there was a rapid divergence. Media coverage of democracies, they remained consistently negative while the Chinese narrative shifted, right? कैसे? So narratives drive the perception of economic strength, right? And corporate finance literature, अगर हम बात करें, it has repeatedly shown how stories impacts the stock prices, right? And strategic use of financial and investors communication, it can have a great impact on the performance of the companies and different firms all around the world, right? And stories are planted or emerge organically and go viral, which can encourage others to perform well, right? And like disease, they spread person to person through word of mouth and become larger than contagious through networks of media. And when we talk about the trajectories of stock market and economies, they have been, closely tied to stories and narratives of the time. Like if I talk about the Robert Shiller's fascinating book from 2019, Narrative Economics, right? So you need to remember this, how stories go viral and drive major economics events brings to the fore this phenomena. So Robert Shiller की book, and हो सकता है question ये भी आ जाए that who is the author of this book, so you need to remember Robert Shiller's, right? चलिए, now when we talk about this, we can say that to identify this kind of phenomena and map the arc of the modern narratives by using the model tools, this is the need of the hour. And some of these tools can be counting words and phrases in the digitized text, and also to capture the tone of the media coverage, right? And इसी के साथ I'll be just talking about the global database survey, right, which is the unique and novel database, which is a part of a project जिसने monitor किया है all kinds of news covering broadcast, print, digital across the globe in more than 100 languages. जिसके बाद this database has identifies the people, locations, organizations, themes, sources, emotions, counts, codes, images, events, etc. driving our global society every second of every day, right? And the main purpose of the data is to create open platform for computing the entire world, because this universe is made of stories and not of atoms, right? So these are the words of Muriel Roxer, who wrote in her poem that the universe is made of stories and not of atoms. So these were the important news for today's daily newspaper analysis session. Today we talked about few important news. Tomorrow we will be talking about the another important news from the important newspapers which are important from the examination point of view, and at the end of tomorrow's session we will discuss few questions as well. So I hope you enjoyed the session. This session were helpful for you, and if yes, what you need to do is like the video, share the video, and most important, subscribe the channel, and yes, don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification. Thank you for watching the videos.